So they know what's next.
Why is it very important for you to focus on that job? I mean, every job is important, but yours has the biggest risk right there.
Safety, just like you said. I mean, that job has probably the most PPE I've worn on just for a site. You know, we got the FR suits, the sensors, the earplugs. We have everything for a reason. So I feel like the little SPA that we do every day is pretty thorough as far as covering every little detail. But if we don't focus them in the morning, then they're not thinking about it. You gotta have it on their mind.
So let's say I'm a new employee and I show up to your job site. What is the first thing you're gonna do to focus me?
Like I said, just kind of point out the hazards, walk through the job with them. Don't just say, go do that. Like you said, more or less hands-on, communicate with them. You know?
Most important thing is to define the right outcomes, right? When you want a job done, you know, tell them exactly how it's supposed to be done. A lot of the times, when you follow the work plan, they'll explain to you what needs to be done, and you're gonna remove, or you're gonna demo, or where you're gonna get rid of it, or how you're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah.
Aaron, how do you focus the supervisor when you're gonna start a first job?
My big thing is getting the supervisor connected with the client, because a lot of times we'll communicate ahead of time, the client, production, and myself, and we'll say, okay, we're gonna start this job and we're gonna be there at a specific time, and then we'll arrange for the crew to be here at the shop, right?
Yeah.
So I always want to tell the supervisor, make sure you review your work plan, talk to me if you got any questions, and immediately call that client so that client knows, hey, I'm Glenn, and I'm the guy who's coming to take care of you, and I'm coming to your job. So if you need anything, I'm Glenn. Talk to me. You know what I mean? So having that, that's my big thing. Tell the guys, look, here's the project. We do that in writing and verbally, and then make sure you immediately start that connection with that client.
So how does a manager who is held accountable for a team's performance set expectations? Robert, like, how do you set expectations for your team?
We go over what we're supposed to get done in the day, what our goal is for the day, and then if that person has never done it before, I can't expect them to, let's say, vacuum the floor. Seems like an easy task, anybody can do it. It's true, but how does it need to be done on this particular job? Are we paying attention to the crevices? Are we trying to get the stuff off the carpet? You know, what are we vacuuming? So I have to make sure that I get down with them and show them what exactly it is, or I talk to them, I communicate with them what it is, what the objective is, and how to get it done, and get it done properly. Because if I don't, we usually end up going back over it and making sure it gets done the right way, or sometimes we spend too much time doing it because they were thinking that they had to do it something else along with it.
So the best managers tell us that they define the right outcomes first, and let each person find his or her own route towards those outcomes. This approach resolves the manager's dilemma. It allows for growth for the individual to occur via the individual's discovery of his or her own path of least resistance. It appreciates and values differences between employees' styles and flow, and allows individuals to use their strengths to their fullest potential. So every time that I did a job, and a lot of you, I would tell you know what, this is what worked for me, right? This is what I did, and this is the way I scraped, and this is what worked for me. But you're gonna find your own way, and I think that for the most part that's true, right? You guys, I scrape this way, but if it's easier for you, it's probably easier for you to scrape the other way. So every time I would go to a job, I would tell you the same thing. This is how I did it, and this is what worked for me. But you're gonna find your way to do it. And I expect for each one of you have your own style. I'm gonna learn from Regan. I'm gonna learn from Clinton. Each one of you are gonna teach me something. So I think that's one of the most important things for you to let your crew do its own thing. The approach also encourages employees to take responsibility. Great managers want each employee to feel a certain amount of attention to achieve Defining the right outcomes creates the tension and the thrill of pressure of being out there by oneself. Having a very definite target, it is recognized and understood that every job has a certain number of steps associated with it. Some jobs have more of them than others do. The question is, do the steps support a clear perspective on the particular outcomes that are desired? That was condition number 1, focus me. Now we'll talk about employee condition number 2, equipment. Guillermo, this is one for you. Equip me. How do you equip our jobs?
Making sure that I have everything, that the shop provides everything, the right tools, the right equipment and consumables, basically. So poly, tape. If in the morning the guys come and say, oh, we got to pull for this job, but I'm out of poly, I'm out of tape, what are we gonna do? Can we do our jobs? So what if we don't do step 1 correctly, we're not gonna be able to do step 2 or step 3, step 4. You know, we're gonna have a whole crew just waiting for us in a hurry. Hey, find poly, call the vendors or that. As far as equipment, we gotta make sure that all the equipment it's working properly. Send it out to the jobs. Make sure that we send exactly what they need. As far as saws, but we're not. I said we're doing a little bit of framing.
Yeah.
We're not going to be using those also to make the straight cuts for to frame a building. You know, we gotta make sure that we send a circular shop. And other things. I mean, equipment just doesn't mean equipments and consumables. It means as far as knowledge. Tell them what they're gonna need at the job sites. That's one of the first steps. Knowing what you're gonna need as far as the work plan, making sure that the estimators do the job. Whenever they have a file, all the stuff is in the file. All the stuff that they're gonna need as far as what ladders, saws, what poly, is it gonna be flame retardant, is it gonna be a regular, you know? So all those little things accumulate to make sure that we have a flawless system and make sure that we follow through and get the job done correctly. Make sure that the client's happy, because that's gonna bring us more jobs.
Yep. Chris?
Before we started this meeting, you were watching what video?
On a Milwaukee saw. 8-inch
Skill saw, right?
Skill saw, yeah.
And what can it cut through?
Anything. Metal, pipes, 1/2 inch to over 1 inch thick steel.
That's pretty cool. So, anybody see that would be relevant to any of our work?
That idea came to me yesterday from P and Richard Chavez. We're looking at a job. It's a big, huge boiler that we might be doing. And P's like, hey, have a saw that cuts through anything. This saw would eat that boiler up. He's like, really? So the guy that owns the saw, he's like, you guys want to see it? It's so cool. We're like, yeah, we want to see it. They went and showed us. It's like, there's no sparks. And
It's a skill saw.
it's a skill saw, but it doesn't. Usually when you use a skill saw or any kind of grinder or anything to cut something, it'll shoot a whole bunch of sparks out and get the metal hot. This thing does not get the metal hot. I've never seen it before. He brought it up to my attention. We looked at it yesterday, and I was looking at videos today. It's I would have never guessed. I would have thought this saw, when I first mentioned it, I was like, it's got to be worth thousands. It's a $300 saw. When I looked at it this morning, I started watching the videos, and this guy is cutting pipes, cutting over 1 inch thick metal. There's hardly any sparks, and he touches the metal right after he cuts it. Doesn't burn his hand. It's warm, but it's not hot. That's the one thing that we're really good about. Aaron was like, look into that. The first thing he told me. The first thing he told us is like, look into it and let's see if that'll work for us. I look into it and I think it'll work. But we usually, estimators are really good about that to get us the right tools for the right job. If there's something that we need, I've never seen the company to where they tells you, oh, we can't buy that for you. No,
Well, that's too expensive. We're not gonna do
Yeah.
that.
Aaron's like, go ahead and buy it. We bought a flame plasma cutter for the boiler program, and it was worth some money. So I've never heard any of the estimators tell us, oh, we can't buy that. Do what you do, but do what you can with what you got. They're always looking for different things, how to do different jobs, different equipment, and the cost does not matter.
I got a question for you. Richard Boyd went on to a project on Monday, and we were presented with a challenge. How do you build a containment without any plastic?
Magic.
Barrier tape.
Neg airs. No neg airs.
No neg airs. How do
No
you build a
plastic.
containment with no plastic, no neg airs?
Why can't we have plastic?
Because it melts.
It's an ignition source. You can't have anything that will create static because it's a.
And no neg airs? Barrier
Anti-static.
tape?
Anti-static is left up to the safety guy was not sure that would get approved either.
So how would you do that?
I don't know.
Have to vacuum and wet wipe everything.
Yeah, but it's the equivalent of our shop back here, with about probably 2,200 linear feet of pipe.
Nail breaks underneath all the floors.
So no drop sheets.
So no drop sheets.
How do you do drop sheets?
We'd have to do like cloth drop sheets maybe, like painters, canvas type ones.
They have the fireproof ones, but they're
But,
expensive.
you know, it can't be anything with poly.
We couldn't even take
Fire blankets.
Fire
Fire
blanket
blankets,
is what I was
yeah.
talking
We
about,
couldn't
yeah.
even take a picture with our cell phone
We can even use a
because
laser
there was
measure.
there's some intrinsic, it wasn't intrinsic, what did they call it? Intrinsically safe, yeah, correct. So when you talk about equip me, were we equipped to do that job?
No, we were not.
No, we were
Are we
not.
trying to find a solution to do the job?
That's
No.
one of the things today.
Okay. But we always try to find a solution, right? We try to find the right equipment for the right job. You know, one thing that I noticed here though, that between estimators, supervisors, and workers, we always try to find a solution. You don't really see that in other companies. It'll go from estimators, they'll think about the project, they think they'll find the solution, the best solution for that project, and then they throw it at you. And here, we usually go, talk about it, and we try it between all of us. And that's one thing that I've learned in this company that is great. Employee has the material, equipment, and training. Has the employee condition, emotional messages, equip me, and managers' roles provide materials and equipment and training. So that's, as managers, that's our job, to provide the equipment and the training. So I'm not just gonna throw P the saw and be like, here P, go ahead and use it. And if I've never used it, probably watch videos, or find somebody that's used it before and show us how to use it. I mean, that's the saw that we're looking at looks just like a skill saw. It's probably the same thing, but I've never cut metal that thick with a saw like that. Maybe if you, when you go back to that job site, you ask the guy if he can show you how to use it. That will probably work good for us before we eventually use it.
Is there one there now?
Yeah, they have like 10 of them or something.
They gotta cut out a lot of steel,
Yeah, they had a whole bunch.
which means we might be cutting out a lot of steel. Because it's full of asbestos
But
And lead.
and lead.
That didn't make me smile at all.
all the lead.
No, all the work.
asbestos.
No, they were so excited when they seen the box full of asbestos up the top of a shelf, and we're like, "Why are they so excited? Because that means money."
They had potentially they had a whole box full of mag block,
Brand new.
brand new mag block.
Well, brand new 40 years ago.
Never been used mag block. Let's put it that way.
So as we're walking through this plant, we're assessing all the hazards. We're thinking about, oh, this coal dust, if it catches fire, we're screwed. We're thinking how to do stuff safely and what kind of equipment we're gonna need. And this is one thing that estimators are pretty good about. Hey Chris, when you get to the job site, you're gonna need this, you're gonna need that. And if we don't have it, get it. And we always end up getting it. What did we do there differently that we had never done before?
we went and got 4x4s to build our own wooden slides and plywood to build slides so that we could slide stuff down. We get ropes so that we could lower it down with it. We got carrying strap, what they call them, forearm forklift straps or something like that to help us carry things. I mean, I had to go to Home Depot like 3 times to get all the stuff that we needed for this particular job that we hadn't got before. Carpets to slide things down,
Just like,
you know, all sorts of different
and
things.
it took a whole bunch of us to come up with different ideas to get
Yeah.
this job done.
Yeah.
I mean, the terrain, so we were walking up and down on the side of the slides, carrying 300-pound,
300 pounds plus, yeah, 3 1/4.
the piece of slide. Problem was that we had to carry it either up the hill or to the side, which was what, maybe 200 yards or 100 yards?
Well, coming down, depending on where it was, but once we got it down that hill, it was still another 200 yards to the
200
truck.
yards.
Yeah.
So it went from a steep embankment, it went down, we had to build a slide there, and then carry it, and then another slide.
Carried over 2 other slides.
Two
so
other
we had
slides.
we had to walk over 2 other
it
slides.
was raining, it was muddy, it was rocky. So our first concern was rolled ankles or somebody falling and breaking an arm or something. So we're like, how are we gonna get these things to the truck safely to get them down to the dumpster? Slides, carpet, to slide them down, straps. Thought about everything. Everything that he needed, we got from him. So there's no reason why you guys come to us and tell us, you know what, I didn't have the right equipment for this job. That's why we couldn't do it. If you guys have anything that you need, talk to us, and if we can get it for you, we'll get it for you. If they make it, we'll get it.
That was like 80 pieces of plywood.
Yeah.
It was
A lot.
It was a lot of. It wasn't 80, but
Well,
yeah, it was like almost.
No, that was
18.
a different, that was Aaron's job. So our first concern is the wood on the floor. You can't scratch it, you can't have water on it. If you get water on it, it'll start to work. How are we gonna protect this floor? Aaron said, plywood. I was like, oh man, that's a lot of plywood. That's good. Plywood, everything. And that worked perfectly. We didn't have to. We did check once in a while underneath that plastic, make sure water was underneath. But for the most part, you're comfortable because you know you can roll your scissor lift over it and nothing's gonna happen to the floor. At the end of the job, we had 70 sheets of plywood, I think, that we'll be able to use for another job. So there's no like, piece of equipment or anything that you need for a job that we won't get. I think for the most part, our estimators are pretty good about that. I haven't done a job yet that where they have told me, nope, you can't use that or you can't buy that for you. Anyone, you guys have any jobs that you've done that we use that special equipment for? Or?
Well, here's the deal. All the estimators, including the owner, have all done a pavement, right?
Yes.
What is it like when you go to do a job and you don't have the right equipment? Sucks, right?
Aggravating.
Yes.
So we all
Slow, miserable.
we acknowledge that. We don't like that. So
We scrape the material, stuff underneath wouldn't come out. We tried everything. And we finally tried a piece of equipment that we had bought that worked. It was slow, but it worked. We threw everything we had at that job. I was there in containment all day for like 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And but everybody in that containment was coming up with ideas. Hey, bring this, bring that, bring everything. Not once did I hear, oh, this company doesn't give us the right equipment for this job. Because everything they asked for, we brought. Carlos Rodriguez came up, it was a padding up on the above the track above the tennis court. About, I think over an inch thick. And we couldn't cut it. We couldn't get our grave digger up there to pull it up. So we used the small blue machine that we have to pick up carpet. But Carlos came up with an idea to make a blade that was shaped like a T. It would cut and split it open. And that's the way we did it. Chema, we brought the blades back and Chema welded them to where how Carlos wanted it. And we started cutting strips. So if we can't buy it, then we'll make it. But we'll equip you with the right equipment. So that's all I got for today.
Yep.